Welcome to Films and Stuff with your hosts, Pete Mitchell and Ethan Hunt.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Films and Stuff podcast. I'm Ethan, super enthusiastic today, joined by a hopefully equally enthusiastic Pete. Pete?
How are you, buddy? I am great.
Look, I've got my Mountain Dew. You've got your Diet Coke. We are hunkered down, ready to discuss something that I was super excited to see. It's the Thunderbolts from MCU.
That's right. This is the last film in Phase 5 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
I guess I kind of knew that, but I was more excited because after like a long hiatus, we saw Captain America New World Order. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
And I was a little bit disappointed, I have to say. Not really what I wanted to see, but I was assuming that they were saving up all the good stuff for Thunderbolts. And the Thunderbolts, I was assuming were going to be a little bit more, shall we say, off color, like akin to Guardians of the Galaxy, akin to Suicide Squad, akin to, some of the lesser known groups, so that maybe like Deadpool, for example, say be a little bit more aggressive and colorful and, not give a hoot about, following kind of like the standard MCU guidelines. So I was very, very excited to see this. And I think you were also, right?
Yeah, I was. I was looking forward to it because, in general, I like all the cast that was in this movie.
I love Red Guardian.
Of course, I knew that's definitely your favorite was Red Guardian.
Far and away.
Yeah.
Should we get into ratings, or do you want to get into?
Let's do a quick synopsis.
Yeah, let's do a synopsis.
All right. So for those of us who don't know what the Thunderbolts are and who the Thunderbolts are, the Thunderbolts are originally in the comics. The very loose concept was, imagine the Suicide Squad in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It was a bunch of guys who were working for the US government. The Suicide Squad in the DC universe was a bunch of criminals working for the government. Here, not necessarily criminals, some anti-heroes, etc. But they were basically not the worst bad guys, right? So they were like the B tier or like even the C tier of semi-bad, semi-good guys who end up being put together on a team, and they become part of what's eventually known in the comics, at least, as the new Avengerz squad, which happens here in this movie as well. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
So, anyway, so it's basically a bunch of characters we've seen in previous MCU movies. So you had Red Guardian from Black Widow.
Kind of a hodgepodge, though, don't you think?
Absolutely. So,
like, are the comics such a hodgepodge?
Yeah, kind of.
Oh,
kind of.
Okay.
So you had Red Guardian from Black Widow.
Yep.
You had Yelena Belova, also from Black Widow. Winter Soldier.
Yep.
Taskmaster, the main bad guy in Black Widow. We have Ghost, who is the main bad guy in Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah, different costume.
You have U.S. Agent, the speed bump in Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, the second Captain America before it went rightfully to
Sam Wilson.
Yeah.
Oh, and Bob. Spoiler alert, Sentry / the Void.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do our usual thing. First of all, what was the theater experience like? Were you excited, and what was the theater experience like when you went and saw it?
Oh boy, that's pouring salt on a wound for this reason. So I was supposed to go with my MCU movie watching buddy who bailed on me at the last minute. So I went by myself. I went to an 11:30 p.m. and the cinema, I bet it held 100 people, and it was probably 75-80% full.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yep. Except for probably the first two rows, it was pretty packed, I have to say. And I was surprised for an 11:30 opening night. So that's a pretty good turnout for it.
That's a great turnout.
Yeah. And that's a little bit, I think, unusual because, I mean, Captain America, for example, is Captain America, right? So if you're going to have a sequel, third sequel, it's got like the name recognition. Thunderbolts, I don't think had the same name recognition.
Not at all. No.
And apart from, who would you say is kind of the lead? I mean, there's not really a lead here.
No,
So
definitely Florence Pugh.
I mean, she's probably the lead in terms of, I mean, she's got the first billing, to be honest, on the IMDb page, but I don't think that alone she was like such a character that people are like, oh, I've got to go see Yelena Belova. You know, she doesn't have a name like Black Widow. She doesn't have a name like Captain America or Iron Man.
Right.
Like she's known as Yelena Belova,
Yeah.
right? So I mean, I don't think that was like the reason why, like, oh my God, I've got to go see Yelena Belova. Like I love Yelena Belova. So I was a little bit surprised by the turnout, and that will maybe impact how this film does. But yeah, it was pretty good turnout, I have to say.
Okay. What did you think of the movie?
So I mean, when I was watching, let me just compare to the good old days of the MCU, you know, like Thor Ragnarok, which I still think is like the pinnacle, you know, start to finish, fantastic movie. Guardians of the Galaxy 2, for example. I thought that Captain America New World Order was kind of disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would not see that movie again. There really wasn't any scene that I wanted to see again. And I can't remember any memorable lines or anything that I laughed at. I thought Thunderbolts was going to be fantastic. Like I said, I thought it was going to be on par with like Deadpool humor, Guardians of the Galaxy humor. I thought it was going to be a little bit more raunchy and funny. I walked out of there thinking that with the exception of David Harbour, Red Guardian, it was a very, very boring movie.
Really?
Yeah, I gave it a wait for streaming.
Wow. Okay, that's surprising, actually.
Yeah, I really, nothing I think really captivated me. Overall, like, I mean, it kept my attention. It wasn't bad, but it definitely, knowing what I know now, it was not a rush out to cinema. You've got to see this on the big screen, IMAX kind of movie. It was absolutely what you would expect from a $400 million MCU movie. But again, with the exception of David Harbour, no one I thought was a captivating character.
Okay.
Much as I want to like Sebastian Stan, who looks like he'd lost a load of weight, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who plays her character, fantastic. But again, it was, I thought, Red Guardian who made this movie watchable.
Oh, man. All right.
I think we had differing opinions then, huh?
Definitely. Definitely. So I walked out of the cinema and I was ruminating on the film for like the full day. Because at some points I was like, this is boring. At some points I was like, this is great. At some points I was like, this is fine. Yeah. I wasn't sure where I fell on the movie.
Okay.
But the more I sat down and the more I thought about it, the more I started really liking the movie. And more importantly, the more I liked it because of its positioning in the MCU.
Tell me.
First of all, in typical Marvel fashion, which has not necessarily been the case in the last couple of movies, the humor landed. David Harbour was hysterical.
He is fantastic.
Okay, and other MCU movies have tried the quips and tried the jokes lately, but they have not landed. And David Harbour's character made some of those jokes really funny.
He is without question the MVP of this movie. Do you agree?
Like the comedic sidekick.
Yep.
Really, it worked incredibly well.
And also, can I say, he's not actually, like as an actor, he's trying to be funny, but as a character, he's not trying to be funny.
No, he's being like, he's like, that's how he is. Just like that's how he genuinely feels the way he feels.
Yeah, that's I think the brilliance of the humor is that it's not like jokes written in,
Yeah,
it's actually his character's personality that's so
that's
funny.
right. That's exactly
A
right.
little bit like Batista's character in like Guardians of the Galaxy, right?
Yeah, which is what made it very quote unquote authentic,
Yeah.
right? And that's, I think,
Yeah.
why those jokes landed. Not even like jokes that said out loud, but like, like where he's rushing to clean up the house and he washes his mouth out with dish soap, right? Because he's fallen so low. And like, you know what I mean? Like that kind of
Yeah.
stuff I thought
The
was
way he
great.
drinks out of the faucet after that. Yeah, like it was,
Exactly. Right. So it's those little things, right? And the really shitty limousine that he's got, that
yeah.
he's driving through the desert to try to get to Yelena to save her 14
Yeah.
hours too late. And he's talking about, I didn't realize how big this country is. Ohio is huge.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So things like that,
Yeah.
I think made that the humor element
Yeah. He was
the
fantastic.
funniest in none of the other movies that we've seen. Definitely not in Captain America. Definitely not in Marvels. None of those jokes landed as well.
That's right.
This one, I think the jokes landed really well.
There was nothing in Captain America New World Order.
Not
Nothing.
not certainly nowhere near on this level. So
No.
that's the first thing.
Yep.
The second thing that I thought was good was the action sequences. I thought some of them were good, but none of them were like bombastic crazy. Like it wasn't like this massive CGI fest where you're
Yep.
talking about like bombs blowing up everywhere and things like that.
Yep.
Some of the fight sequences were fantastic. I think the time where you see them meeting each other for the first time in the incinerator and not
Yep.
realizing that they've been set up and then slowly realizing they've been set up.
Yep.
That fight sequence was good because it kind of lets everyone know what everyone's skill set is
Yeah.
for those who haven't seen the TV series and things like that, right? So you learn
It
about Ghost and what she can do, and you learn about U.S. Agent and what he can do, and so forth.
yeah.
But honestly, my favorite thing was the finale, the bad guy. If you compare him to all the other MCU bad guys, right, and the
Yeah.
final last stand battle, this was one of the most underwhelming. There was no crazy, like New York wasn't falling apart. You didn't see buildings crashing upon each other. You didn't see aliens flying out of a portal, nothing like that.
Yep.
But I think that's what made it so good, was because this was the movie where they were just like, listen, we don't need to make that final battle sequence this crazy, bombastic, ridiculous thing. It wasn't, it was really an internal battle. It wasn't an external battle. And it felt very mature for the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
I will, in a way, dovetail what you said, which was I agree that it was an appropriate bad guy, an appropriate climactic scene where we didn't have the typical Avengers alien portal with all these hundreds of millions of, aliens coming out and streaming through New York and making havoc. I thought that the idea was very good. I thought that his turn to a heel was a little bit fast and
Mm-hmm.
abrupt. It just seemed to be a little bit accelerated in terms of his arc, where it's very, very slow to like reveal who is this guy, right?
Yeah.
It's just this mystery for the first half of the movie, or for the first part of the movie. Then he's kind of like this helpless little guy that we're supposed to have a little bit of sympathy with. He's obviously suffering from, if not like a mental disorder, he's definitely a little bit.
He's definitely got some kind of depression, some kind
Yeah.
of like bipolar disease
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Which is a touchy area.
Yeah.
And then I thought his turn from hey, I just want to be kind of like loved and seen, to well, I'm a god. I'm just gonna like beat up everybody, even though they were all really nice to me. And I'm just gonna kind of like kill random people on the street kind of thing. I thought that was just very abrupt. I don't think it was necessarily a bad storyline, because I think it's hard to come up with new MCU storylines, but I just kind of felt like, yawn. Okay, like it happened really fast. Like within a matter of, a few minutes, he went from the guy who just wanted to be liked and wasn't sure what he could do. And now he's just like a blonde-haired superhero, stronger than everybody. Again, the character arc just went a little fast for me. And I think we've also seen that in like Ms. Marvel, maybe,
Okay.
where the lady had the suit, like similar to the Iron Man suit. And we're like, hey, it took Iron Man a long time to kind of like harness his powers and to be good in the suit. And this lady just got her suit and she's like automatically like amazing at it, you know?
All right.
So I just kind of thought it was a fast character arc. Didn't necessarily dislike it, but that was a little bit of an issue for me. And we said, look, Red Guardian, fantastic. I thought, honestly, Florence Pugh did a very good job. She was very authentic to her character.
100%.
But I think that John Walker is not at all likable and not compelling as a character. Antonia Dreykov, Taskmaster, I mean, we saw her for one facial shot. Like she could have wrapped up that in maybe 15 minutes on set. And Ava Starr, Ghost, new uniform. And to be honest, not a compelling character, either in her superpowers or she's not funny. She's just kind of like along for the ride.
Mm-hmm.
So again, apart from Harbour carrying this from a comedic element, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, I think is the best bad guy or heel.
Yeah, I mean, she's got strong, smarmy Viola Davis vibes, right? And same kind of role that she had in Suicide Squad.
Yeah, like I thought she plays that role fantastic. But I mean, it was a good movie. I enjoyed it. Loved Red Guardian and Florence Pugh, the way that they interact together. They've got great chemistry.
Yeah,
honestly.
fantastic.
Sincere father adopted daughter chemistry.
Yeah.
But apart from that, I thought that Taskmaster, I thought that Ghost were absolutely unnecessary, and I thought that John Walker is super unlikable.
So I agree with you that they could have probably given a little bit more time fleshing out some of these guys. Theoretically, that's what the TV series were for, but they didn't really do that in the TV series either.
Yeah.
But having said that, I still liked it because it's different. It's kind different. Of like how Ant-Man was different because it was a heist movie that had superheroes in it.
Yep.
This was different in the sense that this was a superhero movie that didn't deal with superpowers. It was a superhero movie that kind of dealt with depression, with mental health, and kind of like fighting through that depression and dealing with that, right? And for at least for superhero movies, that's not been tackled anywhere. I thought it was a breath of fresh air that the final battle sequence takes place inside Sentry's mind and it's against the Void and isn't about using superpowers to defeat a bad guy.
All agreed. So let's talk about the ending. Do you like that they are now, first of all, I like how they got the word, how they got the name Thunderbolts.
I thought that was hysterical.
I thought that was a great running line.
Yeah.
Right? Why did they have the asterisk on it in the...
Because their Thunderbolts are now the new Avengers.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought that storyline I thought was fantastic, the way that was carried by
David Harbour.
They couldn't even agree who was like the sponsor, but there was like
Shane's Tire World. No, Dimitri's Pipeline.
Yeah. But I would if there was a sequel called Red Guardian and Yelena, managed by Valentina Allegra, I would watch that. If it's going to be the Avengers, because the great thing about the Avengers was every single Avenger was awesome and they could have their standalone film. We don't want to see John Walker standalone. Okay. No. And Ava Starr, who's so pretty, honestly, she cannot act or they're not giving her anything because her character is super boring.
So I think that's the point of this movie is that the sum of the parts is greater than the individual. Yeah. I didn't like John Walker at all in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but I kind of liked him in this. He was unlikable, but I still kind of liked him. I agree that they should have done a little bit more backgrounding on the different characters, but I still kind of liked him.
If there's going to be a new Avengers, is Bob, is he going to be now a member of the Avengers in
He
his
is,
superhero?
yeah. I imagine we're going to see Sentry in the Doomsday movie.
Yeah. I'm happy that Bucky is back. I like Sebastian Stan. I thought he's definitely a good link between the old and the new.
Yeah.
As is Yelena, who's kind of a stand-in for Black Widow. So there's a little bit of that. But anyway, let's see how it goes.
What did you think of the end credit sequence?
Thank you for reminding me. I didn't see it. Can you tell me what it was?
Oh, okay. So did you see the mid-credit sequence?
Nope, I didn't see either.
Okay. So the mid-credit sequence it was made for you.
Oh, tell me.
You flash forward a couple of weeks later, you see this woman in the supermarket looking at a bunch of cereal boxes.
Okay.
And David Harbour rocks up and he's like, might I suggest a box of Wheaties? And the reason is because on the new Wheaties box, it's the new Avengers. And he poses with the box because she doesn't recognize David Harbour. She doesn't recognize the Red Guardian.
Is he in his getup?
No, he's just in a regular outfit.
Yeah. Okay.
But he keeps trying to push it onto her, and he's obviously trying to fish for that's me on the box, you know?
Yeah.
And this lady just looks at him weird, and she's like, thank you. And she takes the box of Wheaties from him. She walks down the aisle, and in front of him puts the box down and walks away. And as she's walking away, she's like, that's me on the box. It's very good. That's the funny mid-credit sequence.
Okay. What's the end?
Then the more serious end credit sequence. I think this takes place like a year and a half after the movie, right? It says like 14 months later or something like that. Their headquarters, their base is now the Avengers Tower, right?
Same building.
Yeah. So they're sitting there. They walk in, and like Bucky's had a huge argument. He's just like, I can't believe it. Sam Wilson, the Captain America, has put a trademark on the Avengers, and they're clearly fighting. So the new Avengers, there's that team, right? The Thunderbolts.
Yeah.
And then Captain America has put together his own Avengers team.
Who's on his team?
We don't know yet. We just know that he's put together a team and that he's trademarked the word the Avengers.
So there's two Avengers.
So now there's two Avengers team. And so David Harbour walks in wearing like a totally like blinged out sweatshirt with track pants, like a tracksuit, and it's got the Avengers logo on it. And he's like, guys, I've got the solution. And he turns around and it says the Avengers with a Z. And he's like, the Avengers. No copyright issues, right? And like no one is taking him seriously because obviously he's being an idiot. And all the while this is going on, Yelena's still trying to figure out like how the tower works, right? And so there's like a satellite has picked up something in outer space. They look at the video, and it's the old school 1960s Fantastic Four rocket ship.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And they connect Fantastic Four, which we're going to see in 2 months, with the Thunderbolts.
Are you excited about that Fantastic Four movie?
I can't wait. The Fantastic Four was one of the first comics I read as a kid.
Yeah.
So for me, the Fantastic Four always held a special place in my heart.
Yeah. I mean, I think the cast of Fantastic Four is going to be very, very good. I'm excited for that. But it'll be interesting to see how they bring them into the MCU now, right?
Yeah, exactly. So if I'm right, the Fantastic Four movie that we're going to be watching in July takes place in an alternate universe. And I think at the end of that movie, they're going to escape on a rocket ship and somehow come back into this universe.
In the present.
Yes, correct.
So it's time travel and space travel.
Exactly.
By no means, I don't want it to be that I don't think it was a good movie. I give it a wait for streaming, not because, again, I think it's bad, only because I think that I just didn't love it on the big screen. I just didn't find it compelling, except for Red Guardian, who I thought absolutely carried it.
All right. Well, I give it a watch in cinema. I think it's fantastic. I think it's very different from all the superhero movies we've seen lately. I've got renewed confidence.
Whoa.
I don't want to say renewed confidence. I still am worried about the MCU. I just think that I've got more things to look forward to now.
Maybe that's true.
So I think you're going to like it.
Okay. Pete, before we sign off, this is now officially kicking off the summer blockbuster season, right?
That's right.
So we have to invite our listeners to join us on our next episode where we're going to do the Predictees, our annual summer blockbuster top 10 prediction list. And this is, I think, a good time to kick it off because obviously now it's May, which means summer blockbuster season has officially begun. So when you're commenting, please do give us your feedback in terms of what you're looking forward to see, because now summer season is kicked off. Good stuff is coming to the cinemas. After a little bit of a lull, it's time to get serious again, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Pete, you want to read off our YouTube creds and other social media jazz so that everyone can ring the bell and like and comment?
All right, tweet at us at FNDS Podcast. DM us on Instagram at Films and Stuff Podcast. But as always, the best thing you can do, like this video, leave a comment below, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell.
Could not have said it better myself. That is this week's episode of Films and Stuff, where we've taken on the Thunderbolts. It's in cinemas now. Enjoy it. And we will see you next week, next episode, Films and Stuff Podcast. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Ethan. Thanks, everyone.
Bye now.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Films and Stuff. If you haven't already, please subscribe and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever podcasts are downloaded. Films and Stuff. There is no substitute.